Breaking today, Keir Starmer has been abandoned by his own side. Today, Labour MP Jonathan Brash sat down on GB News and said the Prime Minister is finished. His exact words, "It's not a case of if, it is when." Because this isn't some backbench nobody having a moan in the tea rooms of the Commons. This is a 2024 intake MP, a loyalist, a man who's voted with his party 395 times out of 399. And he has had enough. And he's not alone. Ed Miliband has turned. Yvette Cooper has turned. Angela Rayner is plotting with Andy Burnham. Wes Streeting is clearly sharpening his knife. Starmer's government is in absolute chaos. It's a measure of the man that he's either too dumb to see it or too selfish to do what's in the best interests of the country and resign. Wait until you hear the Brash clip I've got for you. It is brutal. But first, welcome back to Brit Rants. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you turn on those notifications so you never miss another video. So, who is Jonathan Brash? Because this really matters. Well, he's a Labour MP for Hartlepool. He was born and bred in Hartlepool. He went to Leeds Beckett University and is actually a former private school teacher, but we won't say too much about that, hey. He sat on Hartlepool Borough Council representing Burn Valley Ward for years before he stepped down in August 2024 to focus on Westminster. He was elected in July 2024, brand new intake, one of Starmer's own and part of the supposed Great Labour landslide. And here is the kicker. Since he walked into Parliament, Jonathan Brash has actually voted with the Labour whip 395 times out of 399. 395 times. So this isn't some kind of serial Labour rebel. This isn't some Corbynista with an axe to grind. This is a loyalist, a true believer, the kind of MP that every party leader prays for. And this is a man who's just gone viral on national TV and demanded Keir Starmer resign. Now, let me read you what he actually said, because I want you to hear this in his words and not mine. So he said, and I quote, "I am completely fed up to the back teeth of this psychodrama in Westminster. The own goals coming from the heart of this government." And then the line that's going to be on every front page tomorrow morning, quote, "It's not a case of if, it's when. I don't think anybody reasonably expects the Prime Minister to lead the party into the next election." So think about that. A loyal Labour MP, 2 weeks before the local elections on May the 7th, on a live politics show, saying that nobody expects Starmer to fight the next general election, apart from Starmer, that is. And remember where this guy sits. He's in Hartlepool. He's in the Red Wall, the seat Labour lost to the Tories in 2021 and have only just clawed it back. Brash is out there right now with activists on doorsteps, trying to defend this appalling Labour government to voters who are quite rightly furious. And what are those voters actually asking him about? The NHS? Energy bills? The cost of living? Council tax rises? No. They're asking about Peter bloody Mandelson. They're asking about Starmer, a Prime Minister who put a friend of Jeffrey Epstein, the world's most prolific pedo, in Washington and then sacked his own ambassador to cover it up. How is anyone supposed to defend that on a doorstep in Hartlepool? And like I said in the beginning, he's not alone. Take Mad Miliband, Energy Secretary, sitting Cabinet Minister. He went on Good Morning Britain with Susanna Reid yesterday and said, and I quote, "Peter Mandelson should never have been appointed." And then he hot-footed it over to Sophie Ridge on Sky News and bragged that he, when he was Labour leader back in 2010, God, what a thought, steered well clear of Mandelson. In other words, I told you so. And then there's Yvette Cooper, the Foreign Secretary. The Sunday papers say she's being, and I love this word, liberated to breathe that Matthew Doyle, Starmer's old comms chief, quote, "would not have been an appropriate appointment for a peerage." Matthew Doyle, stripped to the Labour whip, linked to a convicted sex offender And the Foreign Secretary is now openly briefing against the Prime Minister's judgment. And then, of course, we've got hard left Angela Rayner, the disgraced Deputy Prime Minister, met privately with Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Manchester, last week. Burnham, Labour's hard left golden boy, being publicly urged to launch a leadership bid. But of course, he hasn't got a seat. Watch that change in the next few months, because I guarantee that's what's happening. And then, of course, there's Wes Streeting, to the right of the party, the House Secretary, already polishing the leadership pitch, already doing the rounds, already being talked about possibly as the next PM. He couldn't do a worse job. In fact, out of the lot of them, if there had to be another Labour leader, personally, I think he'd do the best job. But of course, he's not far left or radical left enough, is he? So when your own cabinet is briefing the press against you, when your former deputy and darling of the left is meeting your potential successor in private, when a loyalist from the 2024 intake is saying on telly that you're done, you're probably done. Right, enough of me. Have a look at this. It is boxing.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be clear. I am completely fed up to the back teeth of this psychodrama in Westminster, the own goals that are coming from the heart of this government. Meanwhile, we've got fantastic Labour councillors, canvassers, activists up and down the country working hard and delivering for their constituencies, like mine in Hartlepool, facing local elections in the shadow of this absolute mess. They just need to get a grip. I'm completely fed up about it, and I think it's got to the point now where I genuinely think that, you know, as far as the Prime Minister is concerned, it's not a case of if, it's when. And I just think we need to get a handle on this. And we're completely consumed by this scandal, and it's completely unacceptable. And as I'm sure you can tell, I'm quite angry about it.
You're saying it's if, not when, the Prime Minister should resign?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we're in a situation now where I don't think anyone reasonably expects the Prime Minister to lead the party into the next election. And I think that we have to refocus this government on the priorities of the British people.
Why? Because you just said something incredibly significant then. That you want your leader, the Prime Minister, to go. Why?
Because ultimately we've become completely consumed by this turmoil at a time when that is not what the British public are focused on. They are focused on their cost of living. They are focused on the NHS. I think it's a reasonable thing to set a timetable to get this done in an orderly way, because we have got a very, very big job ahead of us.
Absolutely. Did you see his face, guys? He wasn't sad. He wasn't reluctant. He wasn't even nervous. He was fucking furious. And he didn't hedge either, did he? Did you notice that? There was no sort of personally speaking or no, in my view, or I might be wrong. But he said, and I'm quoting again, I don't think anybody reasonably expects the Prime Minister to lead the party into the next election. Anybody reasonably expects. And he is 200% correct, right? That's not one man's opinion. That's him telling you what the whole Parliamentary Labour Party is saying behind Starmer's back. And notice who he blames. He doesn't blame the Tories, for once. He doesn't blame reform. He doesn't blame the press or the cost of living or the inheritance from the last government. He blames Starmer, the psychodrama, the own goals, the absolute mess. And to be fair, you know, 2 weeks before the local elections, where Labour is expected to be all but annihilated, that either takes incredible guts or it takes incredible certainty that Starmer is all but gone. My money, you'll be surprised to hear, or you'll be unsurprised to hear, is on second one. So look, let's face it, guys, right? Starmer is finished. He's a dead man walking every single day. It's a collapse. You know, it isn't a bad week. His own MPs are saying it out loud on national television. His cabinet is briefing the press against him. His chosen ambassador failed vetting. His comms chief got the Labour whip stripped. And he wrongly sacked Ollie Robbins to save his own skin. And I haven't even touched the surface. There's loads more shit that's gone down under Starmer's short tenure as Prime Minister. And now Jonathan Brash, a loyal Labour MP, has basically said the quiet part out loud. It's when not if. And week after week after week, the Prime Minister keeps pretending he can't hear it. That's it for this video. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you turn on those notifications so you never miss another video. See you soon.